V for Vendetta. I fucking love this movie. I'm really excited to have worked on a little project with my buddy Jay Hill. He was responsible for modeling and texturing this dude, and I got to set up the lighting. And it was my first time going full in on the RTX lighting, so I did all ray traced lights, mostly like area lights. But it was a ton of fun. This is a super cool project. Jay did a stellar job modeling this dude, so man, really cool. So I'm gonna dive into how I set the lighting up for this. This model is really good. Jay actually modeled out each strand of the hair and stuff, so the shading's awesome. It's just a lot of fun. So the shot that I was going for was kind of very moody. It's just kind of like blue cyan kind of key, and had a really cool raking light on the right side that kind of goes across his face and hits those highlights and everything, and it just looks awesome. So I wanted to recreate this framing and this shot. So I worked with area lights mostly, and inside my area lights I like to use textures. You can pipe textures into them in Unreal Engine now, which is super cool. I used the softbox texture that's in EXR. It's floating point image, so it's got like a ton of information. It's got a ton of data that's stored into it. So it's a shot, or it's a texture that's captured with, or it's created using multiple exposures. So you can shoot a bunch of different exposures, get your brightest brights and your darkest darks of the light source, and then combine them to make a HDR, which stands for a high dynamic range image. So yeah, it's really cool. Like you can see here, we got like a really bright white core. It kind of has a color shift that goes to blue, then to those warmer colors, and all that stuff shows up in your lighting, which is super sick. So you get really good highlights and really get good light fall off. So, color shift. So yeah, that's what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of using these area lights and have those textures piped into it, just trying to match those shapes that I'm seeing in the reference. So you can see the V that's animating on the top right. That's the shot I'm going for. Just trying to find that balance with my key light and making it so the brights are the same brightness and the darks the same darkness. Yeah, just really trying to hit that shot. So here I'm just kind of playing with angles and figuring out where I want fill lights to be. I didn't use a panoramic HDR for like the fill light. I'm just placing all the fill with these areas, and because I'm using Raytraced GI, the global illumination is just kind of taking care of all that bounce. Like I'm getting all that stuff, using the RTX workflow. And it's been really sick. Like not having a big lighting is rad. It's the way to go. So I'm just kind of playing with the color. I noticed that it's got like a really harsh rim light, sharp rim light above his head. So I'm just kind of playing with that stuff. Yeah, just trying to create similar shapes, similar key to fill ratio, and really just play that stuff up. Just changing the backdrop color here to kind of match the same look. I'm letting the lighting just kind of carry most of it. I know that I'm gonna have a really tight shot, so most of the background would be out of focus anyways. So I didn't even really build a set. I'm just kind of faking that stuff. This spotlight I created just to kind of kick some light onto those daggers. I just really want those to pop. It's a really cool thing that Jay added. So there's, sharp metal that kind of breaks up his plastic and the cloth that he has. So it's cool to have a different material type that can kind of pop, especially with highlights. So here I'm just adding a little bit more rim light, helping shape V as much as possible, and just kind of hit that reference. Changing the light scale and size, you can adjust the width and height, and it'll actually update that whatever's reflected as well. So I kind of created like a more more horizontal shape to kind of match the highlight on his cheek and on his nose area. Yeah, so a lot of it's just kind of just toying around in this kind of process, going back and forth with my camera. Something I wish I would have done earlier that you can do is actually create another viewport, and you can move stuff around in your perspective camera and see what it looks like on your, the camera actually rendering from. So that actually would have sped up this video a lot. There's a lot of kind of wasted time because I was going back and forth. But yeah. Here I'm just kind of adding an additional rim light on that side. So I had like the main key that's kind of raking across his face, but I wanted hotter highlights behind him, so I added a rim light back there to pick that and like help that transition wrap around his face and his back a little bit. For this fill, I kind of just, oh, this is actually the fog. I added some volumetric fog in here as well, kind of make it look a little bit more atmospheric like the reference image. And this is me warming up that fill light to make it so it's not all the same hue. I want like a little bit of hue shift from light to light, just to, again, like add some more complexity and make it feel more believable. A lot of this stuff is like super subtle tweaks that most people wouldn't notice, but here I just kind of matched that framing a little bit better. I rotated V a little bit and got roughly the same framing. I have like an 85mm lens on a cinematic camera, and I think I set my aperture to like 1.8 or 1.4 to get like that nice bokeh in the depth of field. So yeah, it's just like a really tight pushed in shot. I added some card fog as well. I got this blueprint from 80 level from Devon Chiu. He made this really convenient fog blueprint card where you can kind of just dump it into your scene and start manipulating. Just like, yeah, here it is right here. You can see the fog. There's density, there's you know, the color and all that kind of stuff that you can tweak. So I just started adding that stuff in as well to get some turbulence and noise in the atmosphere. So it's not just the blobby unreal volumetric fog. There's some noise and stuff in there as well. So I'm kind of just like tuning that stuff and getting it looking how I want it to, getting a little bit more breakout. And I wanted that fog back there as well to help silhouette the foreground knife blade. So you just kind of get those steppings of highlight, shadow, brightness, so you kind of can separate those things more as well. I noticed that the hair follicles were rendering kind of strangely. So I went into the material of the fog and noticed that it had render after depth of field checked, which was causing sorting issues, and I just unchecked that. And there you have it. That's how I set up the lighting for this bad boy. I think it came out pretty good. It's just fun to work with like super quality models. So thanks to Jay. It was sick, dude. Appreciate it, guys. Cheers. Peace.